Okay, I have to be honest with you. Usually, when we sit down to record a deep dive, I have a pretty good handle on the ground we're going to cover.
Right.
We do tech, we do history, we do the economy, solid, tangible stuff. We talk about quarterly earnings or the history of the steam engine.
Concrete things. Things you can touch.
Exactly. But today I feel like I need to physically check if the floor under my feet is actually solid.
It is a bit of a departure from our usual topics, isn't it? But that's what makes this particular source material so gripping.
Gripping and, I have to say, slightly terrifying. We are looking at a text called The Divine Director and the Waking Dream.
Mm.
And let me tell you, listeners, this isn't just a philosophy lecture. It's not someone sitting in an armchair smoking a pipe and wondering, what if? This text is basically a challenge.
A direct one.
A direct confrontation with your perception of reality itself.
Precisely. And what makes this particular source so compelling is that it frames this challenge not as some, mystical flight of fancy, but almost as a technical manual.
A technical manual for what? For reality.
You could say that. The mission of this deep dive is to unpack a very specific, very radical argument that the world as you know it, the traffic you sat in this morning, the coffee you're drinking, the device you're listening to us on right now,
All of it.
all of it is a waking dream, a script orchestrated by a divine director.
And the most important part of that mission isn't just the Matrix reveal, it's figuring out who we are in this script.
Yes.
Because if this is a movie or a dream, I really need to know if I'm the main character, an extra, or just, I don't know, part of the set design.
That is exactly the central question the source poses. If this world is a dream, who is the dreamer? Who is watching it?
And do I have any say in the matter?
And if you're just a character, do you have any actual agency, or are you just reciting lines someone else wrote?
It teases this concept of a screen test, which we will absolutely get to. And frankly, it's one of the most cynical yet practical takes on karma I've ever heard.
It's fascinating.
And it all builds up to this massive, earth-shattering claim that you are God, or Ishwar. But, and this is why I love this source, it ends with a twist. It basically says, here is the biggest secret in the universe. Now please do me a favor and be totally skeptical about it.
It's a really refreshing approach to mysticism, isn't it? It demands verification, not just blind faith.
Yeah.
It treats spirituality almost like a scientific hypothesis. But before we get to the skepticism, and before we can even test the hypothesis, we have to understand the proposition itself.
Right. We have to understand the mechanism. So let's unpack this. Section 1 involves something called Maya, or illusion.
Yes, Maya.
Now, I've heard this term thrown around in yoga classes, and it usually seems to mean something like, oh, nothing matters, or it's all fake. But the source is getting at something much more specific here, right?
Much more specific. To understand the text argument, we have to start with a foundational assumption. You have to be willing to assume, just for the sake of this thought experiment, that the world you experience is generated by Maya.
Okay, so just for now, I'm accepting that premise. What is Maya then?
Well, in classical Eastern philosophy, Maya isn't just illusion in the sense of a magic trick or a hallucination. It's more fundamental. It's the measuring stick.
The measuring stick.
It is the cosmic force that makes the infinite look finite. It makes the one look like the many. It's the creative power that builds the stage we're all on.
Okay, so it's not that the chair I'm sitting on isn't real. It's that my perception of it as a separate, solid chair is the illusion.
You're getting it. Chair is real within the system of Maya. It's made of atoms, which are really just energy, which comes from one source. Maya is the principle that organizes that energy into chair and me and microphone.
It feels very Matrix, like we are all plugged into a simulation. Or maybe simulation theory is just the modern tech version of this ancient idea.
That's a very valid comparison, and honestly, it's probably the most accessible way for a modern mind to grasp it. The text asks us to view ourselves not as the person running around doing things, the avatar, but as a drashta.
Drashta? What does that mean?
It translates to the observer or the witness.
Okay, help me distinguish those two. Because I feel like I am the person running around. I feel like the guy who woke up late, spilled coffee on his shirt, and rushed to the studio this morning. That felt very real.
Of course it did. Think about when you dream at night. In the dream, you might be flying, or you might be late for a math test you haven't taken in 20 years.
Oh, the stress dream. I know it well. The teeth falling out, being naked in public.
Oh,
classic.
Exactly. Now, in that moment, in the dream, your heart is racing. You feel the anxiety. There is a version of you inside the dream running down the hallway.
Sure, total panic.
But then you wake up and you realize there was another you, the real you, lying safely in bed the whole time. The source says this life, this waking life, is exactly the same mechanism.
So there's a character in the dream, and then there's the one watching the dream.
A perfect separation. The text is all about realizing you're the one in the bed, not the one running naked down the hall.
So the argument is that right now, while I'm sitting here talking to you, I am essentially the character in the dream, and the real me is where? Asleep somewhere else.
Not elsewhere in terms of physical location, but elsewhere in terms of consciousness. The text argues that the waking world is just a longer, more stable, more consistent dream.
More consistent, yeah. That's the key difference for me.
Yeah, here is where it gets interesting. Usually we think of dreams as chaotic.
Yeah, dreams are weird. Physics doesn't apply. One minute I'm in my childhood home, the next I'm on Mars eating a sandwich with Abraham Lincoln.
Exactly.
My waking life, unfortunately, is very structured. I have bills. I have laws I have to follow. I have gravity. It's relentlessly consistent. If I drop this pen, it falls down every single time.
And that consistency is the trap.
The trap.
The source actually lists these constraints as part of the dream architecture. It says this waking dream has very specific rules designed to keep you immersed. It's not a glitchy dream, it's a high-fidelity simulation.
So the rules aren't proof that it's real, they're proof of how good the simulation is.
Precisely. The source even lists some really mundane stuff for spiritual text. It mentions governmental structures, courts, police, laws.
I noticed that. And it also mentions social conditioning, or samskaras.
And samskaras are absolutely vital here. Think of them as the operating system or the pre-installed software on a computer.
Okay.
These are the impressions, values, and reflexive habits we learn from school and family. The source argues that your patriotism, your definition of success, your fear of failure, even your taste in food.
These aren't really me.
They aren't the observer you. They are just the script written into your character's background.
That's a little terrifying. It implies that my burning desire to be a good podcast host isn't my soul calling out, it's just downloaded content.
In the context of this text,
yes,
it's part of the character profile for host. Just like in a role-playing game, you assign points to charisma or intelligence. The observer doesn't need a podcast. The observer is complete. But the character host speaker has a drive to communicate.
And that drive is the samskara.
That's the samskara.
But why the bureaucracy? This is the part I find strange. The source specifically lists civic duty and good citizenship as part of the dream. If this is a divine illusion, why do we need the DMV? Why do we need tax codes?
Because it creates the texture of reality. It provides friction.
Friction.
A game without rules isn't fun, and a story without conflict isn't engaging. The source argues that these structures, courts, police, the pressure to be a good citizen, are the physics engine of this specific simulation.
They bind you to the drama.
They bind you to the drama. They force you to engage with the illusion seriously. You can't just flow through. You have to file your taxes.
It even goes a step further, which I found surprising. It says that religious structures are part of this dream infrastructure, too.
Yes.
Like reading divine stories, learning about avatars, performing puja, which is worship, or havan, a fire ritual.
This is a crucial point that often gets missed in these kinds of discussions.
Wait, so even the spiritual stuff is part of the illusion? I thought the spiritual stuff was the way out of the illusion.
That's the paradox.
I thought if I'm meditating or chanting, I'm winning the game.
According to this text, the rituals are tools within the dream. Think of it this way. If you are in a video game and you find a map or a health potion,
okay,
those items are still made of pixels, right? They are part of the game code. They aren't real outside the computer.
But they help you in the game.
But they're designed to help you navigate or survive the game.
So a prayer or a ritual is like an in-game item that gives you a buff or a power-up?
Or a clue, a hint from the developer. These rules, civic duty, religious observance, the law, they are the script we are handed to make the experience immersive. But the religious parts specifically are like Easter eggs, left by the developer to remind you that there is a developer.
So things like bhajan, devotional songs, and havan, the fire rituals, they're programmed pathways.
They are programmed pathways to help the character calm down enough to realize they are a character. They're tools to quiet the mind so the observer can come forward.
That is slightly disturbing, but it also makes a weird kind of sense. It implies that everything I think defines me, my job, my patriotism, even my religion, is just set dressing.
Or it's the plot.
Uh-huh.
and you have to stick to the plot.
Which brings us to the next big hurdle for me. The source calls this the paradox of action.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this is the first thing I thought of when I read The World is a Dream part. If you tell me the world is a dream, my immediate reaction is, great, nothing matters, I can do whatever I want.
The nihilistic trap.
Right. Why should I care about the police or morality if none of it is real? It's the Grand Theft Auto problem.
The Grand Theft Auto mentality is exactly the trap the ego falls into when it hears this philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
If the police officer is fake, I can punch him. If the money is fake, I can steal it.
Exactly. If he's just a projection of my mind, who cares? It's all a video game.
The source anticipates this. It calls it out as a logical fallacy, and it uses a very visceral metaphor to explain why you still have to follow the rules.
This is the tiger.
It uses the image of the tiger in the dream.
Right. The tiger. Walk us through this.
Okay, so imagine you are having a nightmare. You are walking through a dense, humid jungle. The leaves are rustling. Suddenly, a massive tiger leaps out of the brush. It's roaring, its teeth are bared.
Okay, I can picture it.
Now, in the absolute sense, from the perspective of the person sleeping in bed, is the tiger real?
No. It's neurons firing. It's a projection. It has zero physical mass in the real world.
Correct. But while you are in that dream, standing in that jungle, does the tiger feel real?
Absolutely. My heart rate goes up. I sweat. I feel terror. I can probably smell the tiger.
And what do?
I run. I climb a tree. I scream for help, whatever it takes.
Exactly. You don't stop, turn to the tiger and say, "Excuse me, I've read a philosophy book that says you are just a figment of my imagination, so I'm going to ignore you."
Yeah, if I did that, the dream tiger would eat me. And it would hurt.
And you would feel the dream pain and the dream fear. The source's insight here, the so what, is that you react to the dream's reality within the dream.
You don't have the luxury of acting woke when the tiger is breathing down your neck.
You don't. The illusion has consequences for the illusionary character.
So this is the definition of a law of karma in this text, isn't it? It's not some cosmic justice system.
It is, and it's a very pragmatic definition. Usually, people think of karma as some mystical cosmic bank account. What goes around comes around, maybe in the next life.
Right.
But here, the source defines karma as the necessity of following the dream's rules while you are trapped in it.
So karma is the physics of the simulation. If you break the rules, you experience the consequences programmed into the simulation.
Yes. If you touch fire in the dream, you get burned in the dream. If you break the law in the waking dream, you go to prison in the waking dream.
And the fact that the prison is illusionary doesn't make the time you spend there feel any less long.
Exactly. The source is saying, don't be an idiot. Just because you know the structural secret of the universe doesn't mean you are immune to the laws of the universe while you occupy a body.
That actually bridges the gap for me. It stops the philosophy from becoming dangerous. It's saying, yes, it's a game, but if you lose the game, you're going to have a bad time.
You're accountable to the script. And this leads to an even deeper, more abstract concept.
Okay.
If we accept that we are stuck in this script, we have to ask about the timeline of the script. Section 3 takes a hard left turn into something that sounds almost like astrophysics. It introduces this concept of shunya.
Shunya, the void, the zero. This part blew my mind a little bit because it challenges one of the biggest pillars of Indian philosophy, reincarnation.
It does. It directly challenges it.
Okay.
The source makes this incredible claim. Start to finish, everything is just a void.
Usually when we talk about karma, we talk about past lives. I'm suffering now because I kicked a puppy in 1850, or I'm rich now because I was a saint in a past birth. It's a linear cause and effect chain across time.
Yes, that's the common understanding.
But this text says that's not how it works.
It challenges the linearity of it. The text argues there are no past karmas in the way we typically think of them, because in reality, no past birth ever actually occurred. It is all happening in a singularity, a void.
Okay, stop there. No past birth ever occurred. How can there be karma without a past? That doesn't make sense.
Think about a novel or a movie. Let's say you open a book to page 1. The main character is introduced as a 40-year-old detective with a scar on his face and a drinking problem caused by a divorce 10 years ago.
Okay, classic noir setup. Got it.
Now, did that divorce actually happen? Did the author actually write out the scene of the divorce and put it in a file somewhere? Did the character actually live through the pain of that divorce 10 years prior to page 1?
No. The character comes into existence on page 1 with those memories implanted. The divorce is just context. It's backstory.
Exactly. The past is simply part of the character's backstory, created in the present moment of the writing. The divorce is real to the character. It shapes his behavior. It explains his drinking. but it never actually happened as an event in time.
It's baked into the cake.
It's baked into the cake.
That is heavy. So the source is suggesting that history, my personal history, my childhood memories, maybe even human history, is just backstory for the character I'm playing now.
It's suggesting that from the perspective of the void, the singularity, it is all happening now. It's a projection. If the world is a dream you are having right now, then the past you remember within the dream is just part of the dream's narrative structure.
It didn't actually happen before the dream started.
Correct. It's all part of the dream's content arising in this moment.
So if the past is an illusion, then the burden of history, my regrets, my nostalgia, my karma from past lives, that's all just part of the character writing for this specific scene.
And that leads to a massive philosophical implication. The source says, in spirituality, if we're searching for someone like God or Ishwar, we're actually searching for ourselves.
Because if the void is everything, and I am the one experiencing it,
then the separation between the searcher and the sought is the primary illusion.
oh.
The source calls this realization the final door. It's the last barrier before experiencing absolute truth. You stop looking out there for the divine, you stop looking back there at the past, you realize the search is internal and immediate.
But wait, okay, my brain is spinning. If I'm God and there's no past, and this is all a dream, why am I here? Why go through the trouble of the dream at all? Why not just stay in the void and chill?
An excellent question. And that brings us to the screen test.
Yes, this was my favorite metaphor in the whole text. It's so cynical, but also so modern and practical.
It's a very clever way to answer the question of why. The source proposes that the law of karma, which we just discussed, acts as a mechanism for a screen test.
The text asks, if I am a character with no control, who is the director? And why is he making me jump through hoops? Why the tiger? Why the taxes?
And the answer it gives is to see if you can handle the role.
Handle the role, like an audition.
Exactly. Think about the tiger example again. You pointed out the potential for chaos earlier, the Grand Theft Auto problem.
Right. If the person I am hurting doesn't exist, what is wrong with bad actions?
The source argues that if everyone thought that way, it would ruin the production. It would disrupt the screen test.
So morality isn't necessarily about good and evil in some cosmic absolute sense. It's about maintaining order on the set.
It's a divine failsafe. It's a behavioral control mechanism. So karma and the emphasis on acharana, which means purity of conduct, are introduced as guardrails.
Purity of conduct, so just like being a good person.
Being a stable, predictable actor. Even if your life is an illusion, your behavior determines your casting. It determines the quality of your experience.
So if the actors behave badly, the movie is disrupted. The whole production goes off the rails.
And the director created karma to keep the actors in check.
That makes the director sound like a very strict showrunner. I don't care if you're having an existential crisis, hit your mark and say your line, or you're fired.
Or you'll have a bad time in the next scene. That's the key. If you act like a villain, the script will treat you like a villain. You'll get the villain's ending. The tiger will catch you.
So being a good citizen, paying my taxes, being nice to my neighbors, isn't just about being a sheep. It's a strategic move in the game.
Precisely. It's strategic. The source emphasizes acharana because a pure or calm mind is the only tool that can perceive the truth.
Oh, okay.
If you were running for the police, even dream police, or feeling guilty about hurting someone, even a dream person, your mind is turbulent. It's agitated.
You can't see clearly.
You cannot realize the truth if your mind is in chaos. So you follow the rules to keep the dream pleasant enough that you can sit back and observe it without being constantly panicked.
Okay, so I follow the rules, I pay my taxes, I avoid the tiger. But who am I really?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I am the one doing the taxes. I'm the one running. But Section 5 says I'm having an identity crisis.
Yes, a fundamental one. The source attributes this feeling of being the doer to debahav.
Dehav.
It means body consciousness. You identify with the hardware. You think, I am this person with this voice sitting in this chair. You think you are the artist, the actor performing the role.
I'm not.
No. The core truth, according to the text, is that you are not the actor. The soul, the jivatma, is inside the body, playing the role. But there's a crucial shift the text asks you to make.
What's the shift?
It wants you to move from thinking of yourself as the actor to thinking of yourself as the agent.
An agent. That's an interesting word choice, like a secret agent. Or a representative. An agent for a client.
Think of a representative. An agent acts on behalf of someone else. The source describes the world as one of many shooting sites, owned by the director, who is God.
One of many. I like that.
We are just agents placed on this specific set to facilitate the production.
I love the shooting site analogy. It implies there are other sets, other movies filming simultaneously, maybe even different genres.
It does. It decentralizes our importance. This isn't the only movie being made, but your job on this set isn't to rewrite the script or become a star. Your job is Sakshipav,
Sakshipav.
witness consciousness. You don't actually do anything, you only watch.
This is the hardest part for me to wrap my head around intuitively. If I pick up this glass of water right now, I feel like I made the decision. I felt thirsty. I sent the signal to my arm. It feels like me.
Oh, no.
But the source is saying
Right.
that the script said host picks up water, the body moved, and the real me just watched it happen.
Exactly. Neuroscience actually backs this up in some ways. Studies show the brain initiates action milliseconds before you consciously decide to do it.
The decision is just me becoming aware of what was already happening.
Precisely. The source says the real you is the consciousness observing the sensation of thirst and the action of drinking. The moment you think, I did this, you have fallen back into Devahav. You've confused the costume for the person wearing it.
So the agent is just a camera or a microphone, just a recording device for the director.
The agent is the lens, and the director is looking through the lens.
Which leads us to the big one, Section 6, the grand unification. If I am just the watcher, the lens, and the director is the one who set it all up.
Here is where the dots connect logically. Let's lay it out. Premise 1. The director is Ishwar, God.
Okay.
Premise 2. The observer, the witness inside you, is the soul.
Right.
Premise 3. The director is watching the whole show through the soul, through your lens.
Therefore,
Yeah. You are Ishwar. You are the divine director.
Yeah.
Or at least you are a fraction, an ash of the whole.
A spark of the divine fire.
A perfect way to put it. The illusion is that you are separate from the director. The reality is that the director is watching the movie through your eyes.
That is, well, it's empowering, but it's also terrifying. It means I'm not just a puppet. I'm the puppet master who decided to put on a puppet show and then got so into it he forgot he was holding the strings.
That's a beautiful way to put it. This concept is often called Leela in Eastern thought divine play.
Clay.
Why does a child play hide and seek? To experience the joy of being found. Why does God create a world of duality? To experience the joy of rediscovering unity.
So the whole hierarchy collapses.
It does. We must stop identifying as the doer, Karta, and realize we are the viewer, Drasta.
When you realize this, the nature of the screen test changes, doesn't it? You aren't auditioning for a job anymore.
No.
You realize you own the studio.
Exactly. And that changes how you deal with the tiger.
Right.
You might still run from the tiger because that's what the scene calls for, but deep down, you aren't afraid. You know the tiger is just pixels on the screen.
So mission accomplished. We've solved the universe. I am God, you are God. Life is a dream. Let's pack it up and go home.
Not so fast.
Right. Section 7, the cliffhanger. This is the part that actually gave me the most respect for the text.
Me too. Because usually this is where cults start, right? A charismatic leader says, you are God, so do whatever I say.
Exactly. Give me all your money.
But the source does the exact opposite. It pulls the rug out from under you.
Yeah, the text literally says, wait, there is no need to accept this so quickly.
It's a call for verification, a demand for intellectual honesty. The source insists on testing this hypothesis. It says we need more examples, more solid logic before we accept this fantasy.
It calls its own theory a fantasy, after spending all that time convincing us it's real.
Because until you experience it for yourself, it is just a fantasy to you. It's just intellectual gymnastics.
Yeah.
It's a fun idea for a deep dive, but it hasn't changed you.
So if you walk around saying, I am God, but you still get road rage, you're faking it.
You're faking it. You're just wearing a new costume, a new ego.
Yeah.
That's spiritual ego.
It effectively says, don't take my word for it, which is the most scientific thing you can say in spirituality.
It highlights a rational approach to mysticism. Don't just believe. Verify through experience and logic. If you just blindly accept I am God without the realization, it's just another form of Devahav.
It's another identity trip.
I am God, so I don't have to do the dishes.
I am God, so I don't have to listen to you.
Exactly. That's missing the point entirely. The skepticism is required to keep the seeker honest. The text promises to decide what to do with this hypothesis only after solid arguments are presented in the next installment.
So it's an ongoing investigation.
It is.
So where does that leave us today? We've covered a lot of ground, from the DMB being a simulation to the void swallowing history.
To synthesize, we are agents on a movie set, this waking dream. We are observing a script created by a director who is actually hiding inside us.
And even though it's a dream, we have to play the role well. We have to pass the screen test and follow the law of karma because the tiger in the dream can still bite and the dream jail is still boring.
And ultimately, the goal is to shift from thinking you are the actor, the one sweating and stressing, to realizing you are the witness, the one watching the movie.
It's a lot to process, but it definitely changes how I'm going to look at my commute home today if someone cuts me off in traffic.
Just a plot twist, an unexpected character interaction.
This is a plot twist, a test from the director to see if I'm paying attention.
It raises a final provocative thought for me, though.
What's that?
If we accept the premise,
Yeah.
if you are the director and this is your dream, why did you write this specific script for yourself?
Oof. Yeah. That's the question. Why did I write the bills? Why did I write the back pain? Why this particular set of challenges?
If you are the only one watching, are you performing for an audience of one? And if so, are you entertained? Are you learning what you set out to learn? Or are you just repeating the same scene over and over?
That is a question I think I'm going to be staring at the ceiling thinking about tonight. It really puts the responsibility back on us. We aren't victims of the script. We are the authors, even if we've forgotten it.
The director with amnesia.
I want to circle back to something we touched on briefly because I think it's the key to actually living this philosophy, not just talking about it. We talked about samskaras, the social conditioning.
Yes, the software.
You called it downloaded content. But how do we actually deal with that if my fear of public speaking is just a samskara, just a line of code? Can I delete it? Can I run an antivirus?
That is the practical application of Sakshipav, witness consciousness. You can't necessarily delete it instantly. It's baked into the character stats, but you can stop identifying with it.
How does that look in practice? What do I actually do?
Okay, let's take that fear of public speaking. You are about to go on stage.
Right.
Your heart races.
Yeah.
Your palms sweat.
Yeah.
Your mind starts generating a disaster movie.
Standard operating procedure for me, yes.
The actor says, I am nervous. I am scared. I'm going to fail. The agent or witness says, I notice that the body is experiencing an elevated heart rate. I notice the mind is generating thoughts of failure. Interesting. The fear program is running.
You turn the subjective experience into an objective observation.
Exactly. You create a gap between the sensation and the self. In that gap, you find freedom. You realize the fear is just a mechanic of the body-mind, like hunger or fatigue. It's a weather pattern passing through. It's not you.
That's incredibly powerful. It's like being a lucid dreamer. In a lucid dream, you know you're dreaming, you might still see the monster, but you stop screaming because you know it can't really hurt you.
And that is the state of the Jivan Mukta, the liberated being, as described in these texts. They live in the world, they pay taxes, they eat food, but they are never disturbed because they know it's just a show.
It makes me think about civic duty again. The source was so specific about being a good citizen. If you are a lucid dreamer, you could theoretically dismantle the government in your dream, right? You know it's fake.
You could, but the source argues against that anarchic impulse. Why? Because the director put the government there for a reason. To dismantle the set is to disrespect the production. It's bad form.
So the most spiritual thing you can do is follow the rules. That feels so counterintuitive.
The most spiritual thing you could do is play your role impeccably. If you are cast as a parent, be the best parent. If you are cast as a soldier, be the best soldier. If you're cast as a garbage collector, you do it with perfection.
Not out of attachment or ego, but out of artistry.
You do it for the love of the craft. You do it for the director, who is you. You honor the script you wrote.
That completely reframes dharma or duty. It's not a burden. It's a performance. It's your role in the play.
Yes, and when the scene is over, when death comes, you simply take off the costume and go back to the green room.
Which brings us back to the void. If there is no past and no real future and death is just taking off a costume, then what are we so afraid of?
We are afraid of losing the character. We've spent so much time building this character, host, expert, father, CEO, that we think if the character ends, we end.
But the source says, you are the void, you are the screen. The movie ends, but the screen doesn't disappear.
The screen just waits for the next movie, or it rests in its own white light. That is shunya. It is not emptiness in a negative, scary sense. It is fullness of potential. It is the silence from which all sound comes.
That is a much more comforting way to look at the void. It's not a black hole, it's a blank canvas.
Exactly.
Listeners, we have thrown a lot at you today. We've challenged your reality, your history, and your identity. We've told you that you are God, but also that you need to be very skeptical about it.
It's a paradox. But truth is usually found in paradox.
If you take one thing away from this deep dive, what should it be?
For me, it's the tiger. Respect the reality of the dream while you are in it, but never ever forget that you can wake up. Don't let the nightmares consume you. You are the dreamer, not the victim of the dream.
And for me, it's the director. The idea that there is a purpose, a structure, even in the chaos. That we are here to experience, to learn, and to eventually remember who we are.
And maybe to enjoy this show a little bit more along the way.
Definitely enjoy the show. Even the scary parts. They add texture.
They do. It'd be a boring movie without them.
Listeners, look for the cameras in your own life. Try to catch the director winking at you in the strange coincidences, in the moments of grace. And maybe, just maybe, try to wink back. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.
And remember...